Welcome to the January the 21st, 1992 taping of It Happened in Grand Prairie, as we bring you the history of Grand Prairie and some of the people that are very important to the making of that history. And this is our history tape number 164. And we're very excited today to have a very special couple that have lived in Grand Prairie quite a number of years. And we're very pleased to welcome Mr. Albert Cupp and his wonderful wife, Marjorie. And welcome. We're so glad to have you on the show today, Albert.
Thank you, Ruthie.
Great. And Marjorie, we're pleased to welcome you, my dear.
Thank you.
Well, let's set the stage for this wonderful interview today by calling on Albert, first of all, and let's talk a little bit about your genealogy. We'd like for you to name both of your parents and name any of your brothers and sisters that you'd like to get on this historical record. And if you'll look right out this way, this is your camera now, Albert. Look right out there and tell us all about your folks. That's it. Go for it.
Well, Dad was born in West Texas, 1881, and he was the last of 13 kids. They had one time, they were all together one Christmas. One night, one day, it's all ever spent in Cross Plains, West Texas. There he learned to swim before he was 2 years old, things like that, you know. And then he moved to Whitney in Texas, and his dad started the First Baptist Church there. It's still there. You still meet. It's the only thing in town, in Plum, Texas, the only thing there. Well, from there, he rambled around. Of course, his people were, his family was farmers and storekeepers.
What was his full name?
Charles Daniel Cupp.
Charles Daniel
Cupp, yes.
Okay, all right. Go right ahead and tell us a little bit now. Give us your mother's full name. Would you do that for us?
Yes, Annie Virginia Richards. Her father was Squire Richards at Whitney there. He was a gold miner in 48 there, and he hit. But instead of staying in the gold mine, drinking it up like a lot of them did, he came back to Texas, went to Gainesville, started to settle at Gainesville there because the Red River was there. He liked to be around someplace with water. Okay. This is farmer's idea, I guess. Anyway, land was too high, it was 75 cents an acre.
Oh my.
So he went to Grand Prairie, to Whitney, where he got it on the Brazos River at 50 cents an acre. So then when he was there, he went to there near a fort there, Fort Graham, where it actually was, out of Whitney. Mm-hmm. Let's see. Well,
how did Charles meet Annie Virginia?
Well, it's kind of a funny thing. He met there in Whitney.
All right.
Both of them met Whitney there, lived in Whitney. He met Whitney, they got together quite a while together there. But he wanted more than just farming. He wanted to do something else. Nothing wrong with farming, but he wanted to do something more. So he tried to get a miner. He went to New Mexico, and there, just a little after he was 21 years old, he was working, he fell through a mining shaft. The residue from 3 cars dumped on him. He tried to he jumped those. He missed the first 3 cars. The third or fourth car, he tripped over. The residue there was actually hot. It burned him real badly, extremely badly. He when he got out, but a black man got him out. This is one of the reasons I think goes out of the way for black people. He had 21 different skins wrapped on his body, his face, because he lost part of his right hand. Fingers off his right hand. He went to Kansas City to live with my brother, his brother, and was there for quite a while. There, he got a telegram one time. It's kind of comical. He got a telegram one time that mother was getting married. He wired back and said, "No, don't marry him, marry me." So he found out that her sister and brother-in-law wired a telegram falsely. Anyway, they got married in Whitney there. then he decided he was recuperating pretty well. So he got to New Orleans. He had finished 8th grade, by the way. Went to New Orleans, where he, of course, became a doctor at that time. He worked on the wharf to get through school there. And Mother went back to her folks, some visits back and forth. But he kept enough money to keep her there all the time. Anyway, somebody asked why I worked on the wharf so hard. Well, he said, it gives me an idea of what I don't want to do, and it gives me the ability and the money, financial reasons, to go in and be something else.
Oh, so, that was a great philosophy, wasn't it?
That was his philosophy.
Yes.
Then, after being graduated, he moved to Prairie, Texas. This was about 1913. And then when the war came on, he tried to get in service that wouldn't take him. Well, when the war was over, he was in Galveston. He was going to the Red Cross, ready to ship over. So that's his war story, number one. So, let's see, from there, he went to Whitney, because Peoria had seven doctors at that time. Of course, you call them doctors. If they take a splinter out of your finger, they call it doctor. Most of them cut hair on the side. Well, let's see. In Whitney, he met a famous that time doctor. He'd been there quite a while, real older than him, which he learned a lot of practical medicine from. And let's see. And then from Whitney, he moved to Desdemona, Hogtown, which was known as Hogtown at that time. And that wasn't much of a town, so Breckenridge in West Texas just hit hard. So he moved to Breckenridge. There was where I spent my childhood, mostly. And when they all died out there, Tyler in East Texas was going good, so he moved to Kilgore. He was there for about a couple of months. Then he decided they moved to Tyler, which is more of the industrial banking center of the
East Texas
financial system of East Texas. And there he stayed till, 1941. Of course, he invested here in Grand Prairie. He follows the boom places, so
North America.
North America was here then, no chance for it. North America. So he got some land from Case Turner and moved up here in 42. I came here in 41, went to work for American, then Aviation Company. And here's where I met my boss lady.
All right, now I'm going to hold you up for just a minute here. We did not get your two brothers that were born in the interim from the time Dr. Cupp and Annie Virginia were transferring around to all of these wonderful places from New Orleans to Breckenridge and back and forth. Name your other two deceased brothers, would you?
My oldest brother was Richard. He was born in the same place my mother was born, there in the Brazos River.
Okay.
Which is all real Fort Graham. And my other brother was born just older than me. He was born in New Orleans.
All right. All right. Now, you were born where?
In Peoria in 1950.
All right. In 1950. In Peoria, Texas?
Right.
Oh, what county is that?
Oh.
Hill County?
I don't know, it should be Whitney's Hill County. I believe it is Hill County,
It is Hill County. Okay. All right. Now, Albert, as a young man growing up down in Hill County, where'd you go to school?
Really, I didn't go to school there.
All right.
Hill County is back to, we got to Breckenridge before I started school.
All right. And where'd you go to school in Breckenridge?
There at the grade school in Breckenridge there.
All right. Do you have any favorite teachers at Breckenridge in the school?
Yeah, I remember, begins with B, let's see if I can think of her name. Brookshire or something like that. I believe Brother Brookshire was my favorite teacher. They sent me to school there before I was 6. Thought I could handle it, but I couldn't. They sent me back home.
All right.
And so I entered in, I guess I was at least 6 years old when I went to school there.
All right. All right.
There's where I met a lot of friends, and still keep contact when I'm there.
After Breckenridge, what happened to Albert?
Well, at Breckenridge, went to Tyler, and I was graduating in 32 there, high school in 32.
From high school in Tyler, Texas. That's great.
Let's see, well.
And then from Tyler, where did you go?
Well, on to University of Texas, where I spent quite a few years off. I was sent to University of Texas.
You were sent to
I was sent.
Okay.
Yeah, and I was.
And your major?
Electrical engineering.
Electrical
See, I made
engineering?
A's in math and F in English, so I had
Yes.
my average out was C minus, so I was all right.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I actually got married. I went to school.
Okay.
I was the top 10% of the class last year.
Right, because Marjorie really knuckled down and made you study there. Okay.
There's a difference.
All right, I'm going to let you rest 1 minute. Now, let's get her genealogy. Marjorie, would you look out into your camera and give us your folks' name, please, honey?
My dad's name was Wilford Hall Pond, and my mother's was Ola Mae Cook Pond.
All right, brothers and sisters, if you want to name any of them or all of them, and if you want to tell us where they are, and if you don't, that's fine.
Well, I had 5 brothers. 2 are deceased, 1 in Gainesville and 2 in Irving. I had 3 sisters, Amarillo, Mansfield, and Irving.
That is wonderful. They're nearby to you, aren't
Right,
they?
right.
Okay. And tell us where you were born. You don't have to tell us when unless you'd like to.
Oh, I don't mind. I was born in Sherman,
Sherman, Texas.
Texas,
All right.
and my parents moved to Gainesville when I was 2 weeks old.
Okay.
I lived there until I was 19. We moved to Grand Prairie, and it's where I met Albert.
All right. You moved to Grand Prairie in what year?
42.
1942. But let's go
Right.
back to Gainesville, where you were raised in that area and where you were schooled. Do you have any, you want to name drop your school and any teachers that were real special to you, or any folks that you remember in that area?
Well, I had a real favorite teacher, Ms. Vivian Brooks, another Mrs. Ritchie, and they were real special to me. I think that's where I got a lot of my things that are with me today.
Yes, that is wonderful, and you credit them for inspiring
Right,
you to do
right.
great things. All right, what brought your folks to Grand Prairie, Texas?
Well, my dad lived on a farm, and my dad's farm was taken in order to build Camp House, the Army base there
Yes.
in Gainesville. So my dad came to Grand Prairie and got a job working at North American Plant,
All right,
and that's how we came here.
all right, and you were 19 when you came to Grand Prairie,
Right.
Texas? That's
Right.
wonderful, and already out of school.
Right.
Okay, and how did you meet this young man?
Well, I was working on Main Street at this tailor shop for a Mr. Kerr
Yes?
as a cashier and a receptionist, and he came in, and that's where we met.
And you met in the tailor shop. Now,
Right.
that is a cool meeting, isn't it?
On Main Street, about where the Uptown Theater is now.
Okay, and during that courtship, did that last a few weeks, a few months, or whatever?
A little less than a year.
A little less than a year.
Right.
All right. And he knew a beautiful young lady when he saw one, and so so you married in what year?
44.
In 1944.
Right.
That is great. All right. We're going to let you tell just a little bit about your children. If you would do that, name the children.
Well, our son, Charles Daniel, we call him Danny, lives in Houston. He has a wife, Joan, and a great grandson, Daniel, and our daughter, Deborah, lives in Dallas and teaches school in Dallas,
That is great.
and she is single.
All right, we're going to get back with you and get Marjorie's activities and the PTA and all of the good things that you've done here in Grand Prairie, Texas. But first of all, let's go back to Albert. Albert, we've gotten you married to Marjorie. What brought you and Dr. Cupp, your dad, to Grand Prairie, Texas?
Well, number one thing brought Dad to Grand Prairie probably was his boomtown, so to speak.
All right.
And he'd always follow those. And Tyler was getting down, and he thought he'd do better here. In Tyler, by the way, Dad had a couple of hospitals. Breckenridge had one hospital, and Tyler had 2 hospitals. I did a real building of the hospital in Tyler and in Grand Prairie, which was kind of left Tyler. So I came in 41, worked in North American, and he had already bought some property from Chase Turner, as I said before. And he decided, well, build some houses here first and get rid of some of the property. Well, at that time, in 41, before the war, houses were easy for somebody to rent, but you couldn't rent one anywhere. And no one wanted to buy a house. So finally, he sold the houses and built his old clinic here, 1109 Small Street. But he brought all of his equipment with him. Dad always spent everything he made on his equipment. He had one of the first X-rays outside of big hospitals in Texas. He brought that with him, another one with him there. The hospital equipment he has now, is now in Waco, it's a museum there, except I think it's one chair here in Grand Prairie that they have, some examination chair. But he was great on helping anybody. Pardon. He never refused to help anyone. He was always stable, even my finger. He would take greatest pains, anything like that. He's always willing to help anybody he could, and always.
All right, let's take the time out to show the picture of your parents. Why don't you hold this, and let's see if our camera can pick this up. And this is Dr. Cupp and Annie Virginia Richards Cupp. And about what were their ages then?
Oh, they must have been in the 80s right there at that time. That was in San Francisco, American Medical Association meeting in the school part. Y'all took my wife, these some of them, but he always went with her, and they had stayed there for several weeks maybe to learn more about medicine, and that's why he kept up with medicine.
All right,
American Medical Association.
did your mother work with him in his medical business?
Not for quite a while, but then she did actually. It started a little in Breckenridge, but she helped him in Tyler quite often. Then she came to Grand Prairie. She helped him quite a bit here until she got really too old to do it. And she was quite a practical nurse. Dad was always, because he was in education, he had sent a couple of nurses to school to improve themselves. But he kept up himself by the American Medical Association, which he liked real well. He was a member of one of the original members of the Lions Club.
Here in Grand Prairie?
In Grand Prairie,
Charter.
yes. Yeah.
Charter member.
Charter member of Grand Prairie Lions Club here.
Also, he is probably the oldest of the physicians in age that has ever been in Grand Prairie, Texas, and it was one time the oldest physician in the state. And how old was Dr. Cupp when he passed away?
Well, he was 104 when he passed away, but he practiced until he was 98 years old.
Practiced until he was 98. Right. I know the city of Grand Prairie honored him, and you have many of the mementos here of all of the good things that happened to him, and you have a letter from President Reagan and one from President Jimmy Carter, and many other state and city and county and national officials, because he was saluted as one of the most outstanding men in the Southwest. And is there anything else you'd like to say about him before we get on to a little bit more about Albert?
Well, about one thing about him, let's see. He believed in eating a big breakfast. If you were around with drinking coffee, the conversation go to eat a big breakfast and live a long time. He did believe in what you eat helps some, but the main thing was eat a big breakfast, his thing. In fact, that was what he wrote his thesis on back in New Orleans at Tulane. And that's the thing, even after you stopped practicing medicine, he would go to the senior citizens places and lecture on eat a big breakfast. No matter what you ate as much, it's just eat a big one, and do not eat anything at night for dinner. It's noontime, lunch there, eat a snack or two, but do not eat anything before you go to bed, an hour or so before you go to bed, if you want to stay thin. But
that's wonderful.
That's his big philosophy of life.
Mm-hmm. He had a real good nutritional program then, didn't he?
Yes, he did.
All right. Now, we know what brought Dr. Cupp to Grand Prairie, Texas, because he was always following all of the boomtown activities. Mm-hmm. Now, how about Albert? Were you a young person and he brought you to Grand Prairie, or did you follow the family here? What brought you to Grand Prairie?
Oh, no, I didn't follow the family here, because I lived with him for a year or two till I met her.
All right. All right.
But that's a static night in there. Anyway, I came here, mainly to get a job. I was tired of school, so I came here. I worked North American for a while.
All right. What did you do at North American Aviation?
I was an electrician.
You were an electrician. Can you name drop any of the people you worked with? Can you bring any of those back to memory? Some of the people like E.A. Hott and some of the other electricians that were in the factory? And did you work in the A plant or the B plant?
Well, there wasn't any B plant.
All right, you worked in the old A plant
Old
then.
plant that's all they had in.
All right.
And then I'm trying to think of some of the boys I worked with.
Done.
Don Safell, yes, one. He's a plumber
Yeah.
there, and we often get together. He's in Dallas now. He's the main one I've kept in contact all the years. We're quite a few there from Grand Prairie, of course.
In working in the electrical in the plant, did you work for the electrical in the plant maintenance or the electrical on the planes? And if so, were you on final assembly or in an electrical department?
Oh, no, Ruthie, I worked just in the plant itself.
Okay.
We did everything in the world, rewire everything. And I'd climb poles all out of then. But I was there over a year or so, I guess, and then took a job teaching school in the service there when war started.
All right, were you in the service?
No, I wasn't in World War II. I was in the Korean War.
Korean War, okay. What did you do during the Korean War?
I was a communication officer at that time
Okay.
in Greenville, Texas. Greenville,
South Carolina?
South Carolina.
Yes.
Greenville Air Force Base. Of course, I was married at that time. We were there. And had one child and had another child born there. Deborah was born in Greenville, South Carolina.
Oh, that is wonderful. All right, and then what happened to Albert Cup after he went to the Korean War and came back?
Well, I worked for quite a few years, 12 years to be exact, for the Corps of Engineers as a hydroelectric design engineer. It sounds big names, but really, what it was is working symmetrical components. Most people say, well, three-phase power practice with these. Have you ever heard of increasing efficiency?
Yes.
Instead of just one single phase, that's with three-phase. That's my main job, of course. You always have other things as department assignments and other jobs that has to be assigned. That could be anything.
All right. And what happened to you after you finished that? When did you retire and from where?
Well, I retired teaching school. I got allergic to blueprint paper of all things.
Well,
So I started to teach school. I taught 4 years at Orange State College, 4 years here in Grand Prairie in electronics, and 1 year in East Texas. I taught both engineering and math in junior college.
and that is an exciting career in itself because you've come all the way around the mulberry bush almost. And now that you've retired, what do you do for recreation?
Oh, goodness. 42 is most things, to tell you the truth.
All
42 in our church, two things.
Yes. And where do you attend church?
Well, First Methodist Church in Grand Prairie is where we go, where we're married.
All right.
So I do little things, make little toys, have a 100-hour clock I designed, made for people 1 more hours a day.
Yes.
So I designed it's actually, people know it better, but it's a frequency calendar. So it's 100 hours rather than 12 hours or 24, it gives metric readings. And other things like that. I designed a little flag thing I like. And toy around a few things. Of course, an amateur radio operator. On and off air, we put it in a rig when we go somewhere. And that's about a story of our life. I was 74 when we retired. I think so.
All right. We're going to let you rest again a minute. And Marjorie, tell us about your life in Grand Prairie, Texas, the clubs, the PTAs, your school activities, anything that you'd like to contribute to this tape about the real Marjorie Cup.
Well, I got a lifetime membership from PTA in 73, I believe it was, 72, 71. And I have been a member of the Women's Club. And we are in the Methodist Sunday School class, which is a great class.
Would you name us your class?
Pace sitters.
Pace setters, okay.
And we play 42 a lot with this group of people, and it is a wonderful group, and we love every one of them.
Yes, that is wonderful. Would you like to tell us when your kids were growing up here in Grand Prairie, Texas, were you involved in the schools and the PTAs?
Oh, yes.
And were you homeroom mother and all the good stuff?
Oh, yes, I was a homeroom mother and a den mother for the Cub Scouts, and I helped with the Girl Scouts when Deborah was in.
All right.
And I was in the City Council PTA treasurer for a couple of years.
Yes. Well, you want to tell us anything about Deborah or Danny's role in the schools when they were here in Grand Prairie, Texas?
Well, Danny was in the French club, and
And what year did he graduate? Do you remember that?
64.
In 1964.
Right.
Okay. And how about Deborah?
Well, she was in the tennis club, and
All right.
they really enjoyed school.
That is.
She finished in 71.
And what do you consider your hobbies and outlets now, other than 42 and the Sunday school class? Is there anything else that you're interested in, Marjorie?
Well, I'm interested in sewing. That's my hobby.
And plants.
And plants. I have lots of plants
Okay.
all around my patio in the backyard every summer.
That is great. Do you have a garden or anything?
No, we just have flowers around the house and in the backyard.
All right. Well, let's get back to Albert just a minute, and we're getting down to about 2 or 3 minutes on this interview. I'd like for you to say anything that you'd like to about your most famous dad. Of course, your mother was famous too, but your dad was such an outstanding gentleman. Is there anything you'd like to tell the boys and girls that may be watching this show, how important it is to persevere and do the good things that he preached?
About the main thing about him, he served humanity.
He served humanity, and that is probably one of the greatest things that anyone could do, is to serve your fellow human beings, regardless of race, color, or creed. And I know that he had that distinction of being a man that would help anyone that came his way, whether they had funds or not.
Right.
Oh, he served quite a few black people and brown people and yellow people.
Yes.
But most of them did pay him something. Some they didn't. He had them just as good. Oh, one thing about it, unique. He could tell kids, a little child, baby, had an earache and not away of crying. And when he come to the reception room here, he would say, sit that baby's earache in first. He had that ability, I don't know.
Yes. All right, I think there's we have about a minute, and I believe we have a brag thing you wanted to tell about Daniel. How's Daniel doing in school?
Oh, he's a crackerjack, yes, we did.
Oh, yes, he's a crackerjack.
Yeah. Well, his schoolwork makes all A's. And
Where is he in school?
What's the name? In Houston, what's the name of the school?
Burbank.
Burbank School in Houston there. And in the state exams, he made 100 in math, and the A's and the rest, 9's and the rest of the thing. He is a swimmer, deluxe, plays piano, has a hobby riding bicycles.
And the organ.
And the organ, he plays the organ. So, and don't play chess with him.
And don't play chess with him, because he'll beat you, won't he?
He's rough.
Isn't that wonderful? I knew that we'd hit the right button in a minute, and that grandson Daniel was the answer to all of it,
Yeah,
wasn't he?
Tiger's a pretty good kid.
That's it. Very good. Well, I want to thank y'all very much for being with us today and sharing your life, and especially sharing both of your lives and Dr. Cupp's life with us, because we're sorry we did not get him on tape.
He was a great man.
And this is Ruthie Jackson reminding you that history is as we live and do.